Ken, it's been a couple of weeks since we got a chance to talk about Whitworth women's basketball. In that time, Whitworth picked up its first victory of the season on the road at Northwest University. Take us back to what you saw that game that was the difference.
Yeah, I really think just kind of a winning formula, and really just what we had been kind of seeking out as our, template or blueprint, so to say, of, what winning basketball looks for us, where it starts with just taking care of the ball. I think, I can't remember what our turnover number was with that game, a little better. I think it was somewhere around 11. So I think that was kind of something that's just really not beating ourselves is going to be, priority 1, 2, and 3 for, the rest of our games this year especially. But as we played teams that looked to pressure like they did to open the game, and just weathering the storm with our second quarter defense in that game, we only allowed 6 points. So it's those kind of things where when we're able to take care of the ball first and then just get a really good offensive possession, make or miss, we're able to set our defense, and that makes things much more difficult on the opponent.
You're coming off of a week of final exams. For many of the players on this team, it's their first experience with final exams in college. And how do you help them manage the stress of going through that and still trying to be basketball players?
Yeah, we've kind of had this schedule set up for obviously the last 2 or 3 years where, we didn't go anywhere for Thanksgiving, and then we kind of, depending on how the calendar falls, sometimes we'll have some opening conference games that first weekend of December. Obviously this year we did not. So really just not having games kind of takes a little bit of the mental load off their plate where they can just focus on school stuff. And, during that break, obviously where academics are, even more so of a priority, we're able to focus on ourselves basketball-wise, not have to travel, and then with everybody finishing things up in the next day or two, it'll help us kind of have time to realign and refocus for our opponents this, next 10 to 12 days.
You're going to begin with home games against Benedictine and UC Santa Cruz. What do we know about these two non-conference opponents?
Yeah, Benedictine is one we've never played, so it's going to be a fun one, obviously, to see teams that we haven't seen before. With this kind of extended break, like I mentioned before, we spent a good amount of the time reinforcing the positive habits that we picked up in that win over Northwest, and even the game prior to that at Pomona, where we came up still a couple possessions short, but had a much better performance as far as rebounding, defending, and taking care of the ball. So just reinforcing those positive habits that we want to continue, and knowing that against a team like Benedictine where they're going to press, they're not going to run a ton of plays necessarily, but it's just like, can you be disciplined and not get bored with doing things the right way for 40 minutes? So that's going to be a big important game for just proving those things right. And then against Santa Cruz next Wednesday, it's going to be something where we've played some of the same opponents already, so we kind of know what their game plan or play style is like, and it's just going to be important for us to respond. And it'll be nice not having back-to-backs until we get to the following Monday, but be able to focus on one game at a time Sunday, have a couple days to prep Santa Cruz, and then a couple days before our trip to really refocus again.